like this everywhere in the world, okay? Now, those cultural differences, frequently.
I like this picture. I like this picture.
I made it specially for you. And you probably had the same experience. It creates misunderstandings, incomprehension, shock, and it may drive to failures, big failures. I'm going to show you an example of a real failure that happened. So there was an export manager from a Belgian company, and he was trying to make a big deal with a Chinese company. So during 2 years' time, he went about 10 times to China. Okay, who went to China already? Okay, you've been negotiating with Chinese?
Excuse me?
You've been negotiating with Chinese? No. Okay, when you negotiate with Chinese, it's not like the American way. The American way is to say a small talk and then start analyzing the needs and say, with the Chinese it works totally different. You need to become a kind of friend. You need to enter the guanxi. The guanxi is the network. So you need to build up confidence and you need to build up mutual respect, okay? And it takes time, and you have to go to the restaurant, you have to speak about your family, about your kids, about your wife, about your hobbies, about your holidays. It's a little bit the same in Dubai, but it's even worse in China. Okay? What for example, the Americans don't like. We don't need to be friends to make business, okay? I think in Germany as well, you don't need to be a friend to make business. We are there to speak about business, full stop. And my private life is my private life, nothing to do. So the Germans and the Americans, when they want to sell to Chinese, it's a very difficult job. Okay. Now, this guy made that job. So he went 10 times to China, he went to a restaurant, and after 2 years' time, he gets a mail from the Chinese, and he said, you can come next week, we're going to sign the contract. Wow! He went to see his boss, and he said, boss, we get a contract. He said, well, did you see how long time it took you, and how much it cost me, those travel? No, it's very important, I go with you, okay? But the boss, he never went to China. He doesn't care about cultural differences, whatever. You probably went already to Chinese restaurants, and what did you observe? The table is generally round, okay? And in the middle you have that round that you can turn, and everybody is taking a little piece from here and there. Why? Why? Because that's a big cultural difference. Because, okay, this is a drawing made by a Chinese graphic art expert, but she lives in Germany. So she knows very well the two cultures, and I'm going to use some of those drawings later in the presentation as well. And she says, when you want to meet or share, this is what is happening in Germany, this is what is happening in China. In China, the group is extremely important, okay? And they and then suddenly comes a plate with a nice fish. Normally, everyone will take a little part of the fish, okay? The stupid boss says, fish, I love fish. And he takes the plate for himself. Okay? 15 seconds later, he could take back his plane to Belgium. Why? Because the Chinese, they want to share, okay? And he's showing, I'm a selfish guy. Okay, I take it for me. And even more difficult is that the fish is the symbol of abundance in China. So he says, all the money for me and all what I don't need for you. Okay? Finish, killed. Okay? So he's showing you how important the cultural differences may be. Now, so you can have very big problems if you don't pay attention to the cultural differences. On the other hand, cultural differences are, I believe, extremely enriching. It's like when you have a merge of two companies, generally what they will do is to analyze the best practice. Are you marketing, despite the fact I'm buying your company, I accept that your marketing is better than mine. So we're going to use your system. But my accounting system is better, so we're going to use mine. So it's the same with the culture. You can always learn something from another culture that you can integrate in your own culture. Now, the cultural intelligence first is to recognize the influence of the culture, and I'm sure that you are already aware of this, but I'm going to show you example making even, I hope, more aware of the importance of those differences. Then you have to identify the real differences. We'll see how in a minute. You have to accept the differences. That's something sometimes difficult. For example, when I'm in China and I see that they eat cats or dogs, okay, I do have a problem with this. And I found out on internet pictures in Paris in the beginning of last century, so 100 years ago, where they had butcheries with dogs in Paris. So, I mean, it's been changing, but so you have to accept that they were educated in another system and that for them it's normal, while for you it might be shocking, okay? And then you have to adapt yourself to those differences. And you have to make the first step, okay? If you don't go to the other, very seldom will the other make the effort to come to you, okay? But if you are opening the relationship, then it's going to be much easier. So it's as well your ability to move to a different logic. It's like a train changing its rails, okay? You have to reprogram your brain to be able to think more or less like the other does, okay? And as well, you will always have new obstacles that you say, oh, is this possible? I never saw this. Okay, but cultural intelligence helps you to overcome those obstacles in an easier way. You agree with me up to now? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you are discovering another culture, you have a learning curve, okay? Now, here, you know nothing or just a little bit about the other culture. So you are in a danger zone. You may do a mistake without even knowing that you are making a mistake. The cultural intelligence is helping you to gain much more quicker understanding of the other culture and then to help you to avoid the danger zone. That's exactly what I'm trying to do with expatriates. Recently I trained a French engineer who is now in Mumbai in India. Believe me, if he had gone there without his training, he would be dead already. Because the differences between the French and the Indians are so huge, and he didn't realize. Are you from India? No. Where are you from?
What do you think?
Around India, Pakistan,
Okay.
Sri Lanka,
Near.
Bhutan, Tibet. No, not Tibet. No, tell me.
Saudi Arabia.
Ah, okay. Okay. Sorry. Salam alaikum. No, because earlier you did something like this. And this is typical for the Indians, they always do like this. It's typical to the Indian culture. What? Okay. Okay. So, what is culture? It's very difficult. If you were less people, if we have more time, I would ask you, what do you think? And generally what is coming out is the history, is the habits, it's the this and that and that, okay? At home I must have about 1,000 books about cultures. Hello. Generally they are written by very clever guys. Okay? Ethnologues, anthropologues, sociologues, all kind of logs. Okay? And they do, to define what is culture, they do a sentence of 40 lines, and every 2 words you need to go to the dictionary because you never saw that word before. So it takes you about 1 hour just to read the definition, and after 1 hour you say, yeah, but what does it mean? What can I do with it? Huh? So I'm not a log at all. I'm coming from the marketing. So I will try to do it in a totally different way, extremely simple. So the first thing, well, it's complex, not practical. The first thing I would say, culture is a collective behavior. And animals, they do the same. If you are a small fish and you see sharks coming, it's better to be in a group because you're making the life of the sharks more complex. And when you have to, if you have enemies all the time, you better watch the territories and have some part of the tribe watching the territory. If you want to defend the territory, you will have people of the tribe specialized in this. If you're looking for food as well, it's a collective behavior. And hunting, it's a collective behavior, and there you see immediately a link with human beings, because for the lions, it's always the female who is doing the job, and the male is just waiting to eat. Okay, migrations, okay, we don't know exactly why and how, and suddenly all the birds or all the fish, they go from one place to another. Collective behavior, generally they go to another place for reproduction, okay? Now we are a kind of sophisticated animals, okay? So we as well, we have collective behaviors, okay? And generally it's quite different from another culture. Like here, this is the normal way in many countries to be in a line, okay? Now, in China, this is the way.
Yes.
Okay. And believe me, it's like this. If you are in the elevator in Beijing and you are getting to the floor when you want to go out, but all the people who want to go in, they first put you back. So you're going maybe 3 floors up, then you come down by the stairways because it's going to go quicker. Okay? They behave like this, okay? Because for them it's normal. And again, our graphic art is confirming, look in Germany. But when she says in Germany, you could say in Western countries, we tend to follow the line, except some countries like Italy. Okay, Italy, they behave more like the Chinese. Okay? And look, this is 100 years ago. It's not new, it's a long tradition. Now, that's a picture I made in the metro in Tokyo. Tokyo is not far away from China. It's totally different. They have lines. They really wait in the line. They first wait until everybody is getting out of the underground, and then they bow, and then they go in. A Chinese there, he will never understand how it works. But the Chinese are changing because of the globalization. And because they want to win face, a good way to win face is to buy luxury products. And there they know they have to wait in a normal line to have access to the shop. So they're changing a little bit.
I think it's in Hong Kong, right?
And I'm not sure.
Everywhere.
Shanghai, I think, yeah. But it's like this everywhere. I think I made myself a picture. I think it's in Xi'an. Xi'an.
Okay.
Now, another way to define what culture is it's in fact your brain operating system. Okay? You know that the Macintosh doesn't work at all the same way as a PC. The results might be the same, but the way they get to the result are totally different. Okay? But you don't realize this because it's in the secret part of the computer. Okay? It's the same exactly for the cultures. It's a programming of the brain. You may as well say that the culture is the soil that feeds your roots, okay? The roots, the soil was prepared by the generations before you, and you only, when they fall on the ground, they will prepare the soil for the next generations. With today, the fact that everything goes much quicker than in the past. Who is the boss? Easy. On the left, of course, okay? Yes. When you see your boss, do you do like a Japanese? No, okay. Why do the Japanese do this? Respect, yes. But it's still, the samurai disappeared about 200 years ago. But they still have the code of honor of the samurai that they use. I could give you 10,000 examples of this. But believe me, they are still respecting a lot of things from the tradition from the samurai. So the fact of bowing, etc., is linked to this, okay? Now you are in Belgium. Belgium is a very small country, okay? In the north, where it's blue, they speak Flemish, Dutch, okay? The yellow part, they speak French. The green part, Brussels, we're supposed to speak both, okay? And here the red part, they speak German. Can you imagine such a small country with so many languages? Why? Well, easy.
Culture?
No?
Oh, history.
First World War, okay? In order to punish, if I may, the Germans, we took a part of Germany. We say, okay, that's the price you have to pay for making the war, okay? And the people there, I know some people, I have some friends, they still have German as a native language. They can speak French as well, but they are still, in the mentality, in the language they use, they're still very close to the German, okay? Now, why do we speak Flemish and French? How long ago, you believe?
I think maybe it was like part of the French monarchy or...
No, much before, much before. I'm going to help you. The guy who created that mess was an Italian. And his name was Julius Caesar, okay? And when he's been invading France, he was trying to go more to the north, but in Belgium, those people here were fighting like crazy. And after 6 years, he said, I'm sick and tired with those Belgians. No, I will put my border here, okay? And in the south, they started to speak Latin, and they became Latinized, okay? Those who after they started to speak French, while in the north, they remain with the long tradition cultures and languages, okay? And that's the reason why even today we have problems to communicate between us, because it's not only the language that is different, the culture is totally different, okay? So the culture is always linked to history. So always look to the history of the country and you will understand many different things. So you may say as well, culture is a kind of collective unconscious. Now, why do we have so many differences? Normally I give you the word, but we don't have time, so I go ahead. So, those who help us to understand the cultural differences and the origin of those are the monkeys. And a few years ago, a German university made a test in some place in Africa, and they took 3 groups of the same type of monkeys, but they were about 200 kilometers one from the other, so they never met and they will never meet, okay? And they came with the same problem to the 3 different groups, and the problem was they put a big piece of wood, they make a hole in the center, and then really very deep they put some honey. And the monkeys, like the bears, they love honey. So they left, but they put some cameras to observe what is. So what happened? They came, and then they tried to reach the honey, but it's too deep. So and after 15 minutes they stopped. Okay, but one who is more determined and who is more clever, he went on for 1 hour, and after 1 hour he got the genius idea. He took a piece of wood, put it inside, and all the monkeys they came. And what did they all do? They copied him. Okay. The other group, they did something totally different, because the most clever and the most determined find another way. He took a leaf and he turned it, and all of them, they started to do the same. None of them took a piece of wood. Okay? And the third group found out a third solution. So, in facing the same problem, they came with different answers, and the rest of the group is just copying the same answer, because we are all lazy. If we have a solution, why would we invent another solution? Okay? That's a way, for example, we've been creating 7,000 languages. It would be easier to have one language. Okay? So, different answers to the same questions. And in the past, we were really in small areas, separate from the others. You know the Silk Road, okay, from China to Italy, but it was very seldom that one person would do the full road. He would do about 400 kilometers, so up to where he knows the dangers, the languages, and then he would give everything to the next group, doing another 400 kilometers and so on. One guy, we are sure, made the whole trip, and his name is, like me?
Marco Polo.
Yeah. That's the reason why my name is Marco. Okay? Because you had so many barriers that you can find on the slide. Now, how do we learn culture? Well, you learn this as a baby, okay? And you learn it in a very intuitive way. And when you want to learn how to wash your teeth, you don't have someone with a flip chart, lesson 1, how to, no. You're just looking to your mother or your father and you're trying to copy them, okay? Okay, that's a short video I made in Bali last month, okay? And I think it's showing really the relation between the parents and the kids. You have a song, you have an history, and that's the way you learn, in fact, the culture, okay? But that's as well the reason why you don't have twice the chance to learn as a child, okay? You are your age, you're not prepared to do like this little girl, and you will not find a guy singing for you, okay? So, from intuitively, you are learning rationally, okay? And that's the reason why a part of the culture is not accessible to you, okay? I will come back to you later about this. The way we educate is quite simple. It's just like a dog, okay? Every time you do something positive, you are rewarded. Every time you do something negative, you are punished. Easy system. And you have different traditional culture vectors like the family, the school, sport, religion, and whatever. They are all sending you messages about how you should behave. Okay? Yes?
I think that, I think this next slide. The media, you know, these things,
it's changing everything.
Yeah, you know, because, you know, now we are all living in one small village with all this technology.
Yeah.
So I think like in my culture, like if you get 10 years back, it's weird that people wearing like jeans and t-shirts in the street.
Yes.
So they will wear traditional clothing. Now it's the opposite.
Fully agree. Fully agree. There is a whole chapter about globalization, but I fully agree with. It's changing everything everywhere. Okay. And for the new generations, they learn much more from internet and all those things than from school sometimes. Now, who was told as a child, please behave properly?
Most of us.
Everybody, huh? Okay? Now the problem is, properly might be totally different from one culture to another. Okay? No. I was told, never do that. Boo, that's very rude. Never, huh? But in Tibet, it's a sign of respect. Okay? I was as well told, never do this. Never have your mouth open without hiding. In China, no problem. Okay? In China, I have nothing against the Chinese. I love the Chinese, but just to show you the differences, you walk on the street, suddenly a guy will do in front of your shoes. And you say, hey! But for them it's normal. He didn't touch your shoes. Okay? Now, maybe several of you were told when you were in front, you didn't want to eat your full plate. In any case, it happened to me. I'm sure it happened to some of you as well. You stay at the table until your plate is empty. Okay? Some of you were told that? Yes. Okay. Now in China, they tell something different. And now we'll show you a video explaining this.
The English believe it's a slur on your host's food if you don't clear your plate. whereas the Chinese feel you're questioning their generosity if you do. At HSBC, we've never met local knowledge. Which is why we have local banks staffed by local people in over 80 countries across the globe.
You see, cultural differences may create problems. Okay, in China, if you are emptying, it shows that you're still hungry and the host is supposed to come back with more. Okay, so you better leave quite many, yeah, more than something in your plate. Now, the role of silence. Oh, you're very good. You resisted 15 seconds to silence. In Finland, they are expert of silence. In Europe, yeah, yeah, okay.
That's why if somebody came to Finland, the first time you will have cultural shock, especially in winter.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole train is full, and then you hear nothing.
Yeah. The most famous Finnish joke is a man and a woman married 40 years ago, and suddenly the wife says to his husband, "Do you love me?" And the man says, "Look, darling, 40 years ago when we got married, I told you that I love you. If I change my mind, you will be the first to know." Okay, so Finland, I have nice stories about the Finnish silence, but we don't have time. But I'd like to talk to you about exactly all the way we adopt the cultures. In Asia, they have an educational proverb that says, look, you have 2 ears, 2 eyes, 2 ears, but only 1 mouth. Okay? Use them accordingly, in proportion. Okay? And they say as well, every word is gold. So when you meet an Asian, like a Chinese, they have frequent moments of silence. Okay? Why? Because they prefer to watch and listen than to speak. Okay? Because they were told to do like this when they were child. Okay? It's changing again with the new world, I agree, but traditionally. And they need their time to prepare their answer because every word is important. And you as a Westerner, staying 15 seconds without speaking is impossible. So if they don't speak, you start to speak, okay? And then they will have the feeling that you are aggressive. He doesn't give me time enough to prepare my answer. He wants to speak all the time. I cannot stop him, particularly Italians. Huh? They are very good for that. Okay? So before the age of 10, your culture is deeply engraved in your brain. And that's the reason, because he's so young, it's basically unconscious. Okay? You don't even realize why you are acting like this or like that. It's a kind of autopilot. Now, in your brain you have hundreds of interconnected and interactive elements, and like those things, many things, and they interact with one another, and it's changing with the time and so on and so forth. But if we want to simplify it, you have a small part where you have visible elements, conscious, but are generally superficial. But you have a large part where it's invisible, unconscious, and where you have the fundamentals. I'm going to speak about those 2 parts now, starting with the visible part. What we eat and what we drink and at what time we eat, or do we eat with the hands or with chopsticks or different things. There are different ways to eat and drink. Okay? The languages, of course, is part of the culture. The dress code, despite the fact that with globalization, as you said, we tend to have almost the same standards all around the world. That's the way in Asia you're supposed to give your business card, your credit card, and everything, always with 2 hands, okay? And you take it with 2 hands, because it's a sign of respect, okay? That's the first thing when I train expatriates going to Asia. That's one of the first things they have to learn, because here we do it like this, then you say thank you, you put in the pocket. No, in Asia you have to start to read, oh, you're a manager, oh, good, oh, long, before you have to talk 3-4 minutes before you put the card, okay? Never do like last week. I was talking with someone in a networking event, and that lady said, oh, I want to remember what he told me. She took a pen and she wrote something on my business card. I have no problem. If you do this in Asia, you're dead. Because the business card is a part of the person,
Yes.
okay? No, so in that visible part, you have different things. And you have many books, okay, that help you to understand. But make sure that they are reliable, that you have enough information. Sometimes it's very superficial. Now, what is much more difficult to understand is the unconscious part, because there you have, in fact, the culture code, the culture DNA, and it's more implicit, hidden rules, silent codes, and things like that. It's nothing written. It's just a kind of habit, okay? And that's where you have the beliefs, the values, the social norms, and all those elements. Now, I have a very easy question for you. What is the opposite of death?
Movement.
What?
Movement.
Opposite of death? Movement? Okay, I'll come back. Yeah? Who says life?
Not
Okay.
being dead.
What do you say?
I'm just going to wait for everybody's answer.
Ah, okay. What?
Birth,
Ah, birth. Why do you say that?
it's because that's when you start living, that is when you stop living.
Aha. Okay. Now, life is generally the answer that you get from Westerners. Okay? Except that young lady. No, but I agree with you. And if you were to ask the same question to people from Asia, including India, the answer that you generally get is birth. Okay? Now, why is it like this? You have no. He's showing that she is already very culturally intelligent. There are two reasons. First of all, the religions are telling different stories. Okay, the many religions in Western countries, but I think as well Islam, they say when you're dead, it's over. You go or to paradise or to hell, but you don't come back to earth. Asian.
No, there is a contradiction on this. There are some people, there are some scholars that say that there is a previous life and then you come back again. It's like
Okay, but this is not what they say in Islam or Christian religion or things like that. Okay, in the religion, this is another kind of belief. But in Asia, look to Buddhism, look to Hinduism, look to all those Asian religions. What they say is that reincarnation. Okay, reincarnation is come back. So they say birth. Okay. Now, why do the religion tell us a different story? It's because the way we see the time is different. In Western countries, we see the time as sequential. It's a line. It's the past, the present, the future. Okay? In Asia, they see the time as a circle. It's like the season, the 4 seasons. It's always coming back. You will never have 2 springs exactly the same, but the spring is different from the winter. Okay? And they see the time really as a circle. Everything is as a cycle. Now, in specialized groups, I use this, for example, to show how you should sell to Asians, because you have to adapt your brain and sell as a circle and not as a line. Yes. Okay? Now, in Africa, they have another system. We have many people from Africa here. What is the system used in Africa most of the time?
For what?
To see the time. How they see the time.
Well, it depends.
What?
Can you establish?
The way people see the time in Africa.
The sun, they look at the sun.
Yeah?
The shadows of the mountain in my country.
Yeah, but globally speaking, in Africa, they tend to focus on the present time. Okay? yesterday, in any case, I cannot change. Tomorrow, we'll see tomorrow. So I focus on today. That's the reason why they are generally more happy, more smiling, more welcoming, because they're focusing. You know, the Westerners.
The moment.
Yeah, the moment. The Westerners, we are so stressed that we have to learn full-mindedness. Okay, you pay a fortune to learn or to focus on the present time. While in Africa, they do it by culture, naturally. Okay. Now, Winston Churchill, you all know him. Okay, he said, in England, everything is allowed except what is forbidden. In Germany, everything is forbidden except what is allowed. Okay? And in France, everything is allowed, including what is forbidden. This is true for the rest of the south of Europe, for Spain, for Italy, for Greece. And, okay, it's been changing a little bit, but basically it's still about the same. Okay? Now, how do we have access to this unconscious part? Well, if you were here during the night in a dark room, the only way to try and see something is to use some light, okay? And what you're going to do is to use many different lights to try and see. Sometimes the light illuminates nothing of interest, sometimes yes, sometimes some parts remain in the darkness. So again, you have to accept a certain level of uncertainty. The more you understand, the better it is, but you have to accept that access to 100% is not possible. Now, I would like to present you the model I've been developing. I call it the big model. The B stands for basic. It's your culture of origin. It's all what we just saw up to now. The I is the fact that we are not robots. You have your own personality, your individuality developing with age, and it might be different from what you were asked to do, okay? That's the way you really behave. And the third part, as you said, is the global. We are changing because we are in such a globalized world that we are basically changing a lot. Now, between the basic and the individual, it's the same person, but you may have differences, like, for example, religion, sexuality, patriotism, whatever. I was educated as a Christian, but now I'm a Buddhist. So I'm far away from what I was told to do. Sexuality, I was asked to be hetero, and I'm still very much hetero. Okay, and so on and so forth. We speak about national cultures, but you have many subcultures, okay? Like in Italy, I love Italy. And when you are in Milano, a red traffic light means order to stop, okay? In Rome, not so far away, it's invitation to stop. You stop or you don't stop, depends, okay? And a little more in the south, it's just a pure decoration. It's just like a Christmas tree, okay? And the people in Napoli, they say it's not red, it's just dark orange. Okay? So in the same country, you may find very different behaviors. Now, if we have subcultures, we have as well more and more supracultures above one culture. For example, Europe. It takes time to build up, but we start to develop a kind of common culture. And you have different examples in many areas. No, you can say that all the Asians, they have things in common. Like we'll see later, safe face. Okay? Then China will have a specific culture different than other countries. And then within China, in some regions, they will have more regional cultures. And if you take one city, again, the city might be different from the countryside. And within the city, like in Brussels, you may have different subcultures together. And where you will find many big differences is between the seniors who live more in the countryside versus the young and urban people who are much more in that globalized world, while the seniors are still more in the traditional world. You may have many differences as far as the culture is concerned, generation, the gender. Men and women are not supposed to have the same behavior, and a lot is coming from the culture. the origin, the social level, the education level, and so forth. So you need to be extremely prudent all the time. We are not all the same from one country. So what it means? It means that, let's say that the Belgians are oranges and the Japanese are apple, okay? And clearly those are two different fruits, okay? Never forget that you have many different kinds of apples, so you have many different types of Japanese. Globalization. Globalization is happening very fast and on a massive way. And we never had in the past such an exchange level everywhere with not only merchandise but internet and all, TV, and if something happens in the world, half an hour later, the whole world knows. You can go anywhere. You can go to Australia in a 20 hours flight or something like that, while in the past it would take you maybe 6 months, and probably you die on the way. The digital world is linking everybody. But that happens in Dubai, Saudi Arabia, in Finland, in Germany, everywhere. The people are just looking to their smartphone. In what, in 15 years' time? Less? Okay.
Yes.
Less, huh? That's a picture I made a few months ago in Hong Kong. So not only the parents, but as well the kids, very young, they are using this system. And it's all around the world.
My nephew, he's like now 18 months, and he can use the phone very smoothly.
Yeah,
He didn't speak yet,
I'm not surprised.
but he can open the lock, he can
Yeah, I know.
open YouTube, watch.
I know. Don't tell me.
This is weird.
Last week I was watching a documentary on the forests in Brazil, like
Okay.
that were in danger, and they showed that the tribes, the native tribes, they're still wearing the same clothes and everything, but the younger they have.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I watch a lot of documentaries on TV, for example, in Brazil, but as well in the Pacific, in Africa, everywhere. You have the chief of the village. He is 55, okay? And suddenly the young people from the tribe, they are maybe 18 years old, and in Amazonia, and they say, oh, I go and live in Rio de Janeiro. And the chief of the village said, why? Because I want to have a smartphone, I want to have a TV and a fridge. And the guy says, but it's been 4,000 years that we are here and that we are very happy like this. He said, I don't care.
But those ones that have only phones, they don't have the phone.
Okay. But it's showing how deep the changes are. Now, those barriers that we mentioned before, many of them disappeared because of the globalization. So we still have the linguistic, ethnic, and political barriers eventually. Now, language is no longer a real problem. Look to English, we all speak English here, and 55% of the web pages are in English. And when you are in a country like China, where you still have many people who don't speak English, okay? Well, they have smartphones, so you speak in English to the smart, or French, or whatever you want. It translates to Chinese, and we communicate like this. Totally different world. Now we are in a world of mass consumption, where you have universal brands, where we start to become a standardized world. This is in Korea. What has Santa Claus to do with the Korean culture? Initially, nothing, okay? But it's the same for Happy Valentine's. You can go anywhere in the world, you will see Happy Valentine. Halloween was initially an Irish tradition, was exported to the USA, and now came back 20 years ago to Europe. Now Halloween is not as important as it is said, but not far. And they started recently with that Black Friday in Europe, 2 years ago or something, and now the people are getting crazy with the Black Friday. We are in a globalized world. And we have similar lifestyles and consumption models. That's a picture I made in the McDonald's in Shanghai, except that it's written in Chinese. It's about the same. And look,
Everywhere.
yeah. Now, I'll show you an example. And look to the Chinese, they dress the same way as any Westerner, they're eating the same dirty things, and they don't eat, they look more to the smartphone than eating, okay? Same behavior. Now, that's the McDonald's in New Delhi, India. And there, for religion reasons, you cannot eat beef, okay? So the Big Mac is replaced by the chicken Maharaja Mac, adaptation to local culture. Well, that's the reality. Japanese, they eat more hamburgers than sushis today, okay? And in Europe, 20 years ago, you would ask someone, would you like to eat sushis? And said, sushis, what is this? I never heard about it. No, you have sushi shop at every corner of the street, okay? Exchanging with the others. So what it does is, and I'm not sure it's a good evolution, but the whole world tends to westernize, adopt the Western way of living. Really, I have doubts about the way, but it's happening in one generation, or maybe two, but generally one generation. Totally shift, with big problems, because changing, for example, the eating habits creates illnesses with cancer, diabetes, people too fat, and things like this. Now we live in a cultural hypermarket. So I'm doing that, and I say, oh, Feng Shui, you know Feng Shui? Yeah? It's Chinese way how to build up a house. And you say, Feng Shui, I take a box of Feng Shui, very good. And the Chinese, they're working, they say, ooh, I can eat meat every day instead of once a month. I take a box of this, okay? And so we are all buying different things in that cultural hypermarket. And for that reason, less and less will you find Belgian oranges and Japanese apples, because we are all becoming culturally modified organisms. Okay? We are becoming a mix of different fruits. Jean-Claude Juncker, he is still the president of European Commission. He is from Luxembourg. In Luxembourg, you don't take the people in your arms, you keep the distance, and you don't play with your tie, okay? Some people say he was drunk, maybe. But that's not the normal way to behave for someone in Luxembourg. Would it be acceptable in Germany? No, huh? It's about the same as Luxembourg. You keep the distance, okay? Tsipras, Greek, he was fired 2 days ago. Prime Minister. He was always late, like a good Greek Latin, and he wouldn't respect the figures and whatever. And look, changing. He's becoming culturally modified organism. Ooh, I need to be on time, okay? That's the beginning, Sarkozy with Merkel. Merkel, as a German, she wants to keep the distance. Sarkozy, as a Latin, he wants to be very close, kiss her and whatever. So in the beginning, she was quite reluctant. But she is becoming a culturally modified organism. So when she met Obama, she changed quite a lot her behavior. No, that's the first time Berlusconi met Michelle Obama. And you can clearly see that Barack gave a briefing to Michelle. You're going to meet that Italian, he's very dangerous. Keep the distance. And he's ready to jump on Berlusconi if he comes to them. And then Berlusconi, che bella ragazza, Michele, vieni qui. Now, if you take Japanese, 50 years ago, that part of basic was very big and that part of global was very small. So she would be in kimonos, and in Japan you can still see on the street some people in kimonos, but it's the minority. Okay? They totally changed. And now the basic and the global are more or less the same size. So they are much more influenced by other cultures than before. And as I said, they eat more hamburgers than sushis.
But no, isn't it in Japan, like for some people it's a full-time job to be wearing, you know, like the Japanese, the kimono, the makeup and everything. Isn't that a full-time job?
Yeah, some geishas. But you can find normal people on the street just dressed with a kimono. But maybe 2 or 3%, no more.
But
Yeah.
still, if you allow me, it's come to my mind when she mentioned kimono. Last week there is a big talk about in Japan regarding the new
And
clothes design by Kim Kardashian about the komo. She called it the komo. It was different. Even
kimono. Yeah.
Even people love this.
Yeah.
Kardashians,
But
still it's as a culture.
Of course, yeah,
it
but-
offends them.
yeah, I don't have time to explain you all the details about the Japanese culture, but they are extremely, despite the fact that they really live in the modern world and they are already in the future, they respect a lot the traditions, and they have good reasons to do that.
Great, but what I meant, it's even though we are going to the globalization level or everything's become global, still the culture
Agree.
thing, you cannot
Agree.
expect what the people react
Agree.
to these
But-
culture things.
What I say is that before, that global part did not exist, and that global part influences, interacts with your traditional part. Now, it's not a uniform development. It's certainly very much developed in Japan or in Thailand. It's been changing very quickly in China, but if you go to Myanmar, for example, because it was closed, it's much more smaller there. And as well, you will find big differences between senior people living in the countryside versus the younger generation. Okay, so there you have an Asian and a Westerner. Okay, they have the same suit, the same sunglasses, the same suitcase, the same BMW. They both have an MBA and whatever. So as soon as they stay in that global part, okay, they are about the same. So it's easy to communicate. But never forget that, as you just said, and you are totally right, and you just said, don't forget that behind this they have that basic. And so the Westerner will see the time as a line, while the Asian will see the time as a circle. And it may change many different things. Now, we have growing similarities, but basically we are still quite different. But we have merging roots. Now, if you want to discover another culture, the first is to do like this guy. You keep your head above the water, because it's dangerous to put your head in the water. Okay? It's like the stupid Belgian guy going to 1 week to the Club Med in Turkey. And he never goes out of the Club Med. And when he's coming back, he says, you know what? In Turkey, they all speak French, Dutch, German, Italian, Spanish. Unbelievable, huh? And every Friday, there is French fries with mussels. That's what we eat here, okay? And things like that. He understood nothing about Turkey. Why? Because he never went out of the club, okay? So if you keep your head above the water, you will never learn anything. The next guy is snorkeling. He's going maybe 5, 6, 7 meters deep. And he starts to see fishes there. That's exactly what I do. When I go to a country, I read a book or two about the culture, the religion, the history. I learn a few words, and when I'm there, I'm going out as much as possible, talking with the people, asking questions. I'm discovering the culture. Then this guy is diving. Okay, he's going 50, 60 meters deep. Okay, for a long period. That's, for example, an expatriate. And he may get married with someone from the culture and so on. But still, he sees below, deep, much deeper, some fish is there, and he wants to go there, but he cannot, because it's too deep for him, okay? No. Remember what I said in the beginning, you don't have a chance to be a child twice, to be educated as a child. And that's the reason why. When you want to meet another culture, never do this. You will know nothing, and you will have many misunderstandings, problems, whatever. But there, despite all what you may do, it's not accessible because a part will always be missing. Okay? You have some exceptions, but really there are not many. I don't know if you know that guy Mathieu Ricard. He's a French biologist, but he's been I don't know how many years that he lives together with the Dalai Lama. He can speak Tibetan better than a Tibetan. He knows more about Buddhism than the normal Buddhist, and so on. So he's a real exception. No, the good news is that you don't need to be exactly the same to be able to communicate. Okay? Now, what is cross-cultural communication? Is the fact that you try to synchronize your brain to the brain of the other. So it's like going from here to that island there, which is the other culture, and you want to build up a bridge, okay? But on the way, you have mist, and mist is uncertainty, as we saw. Yeah, I think that you don't understand, that you are not able to understand, things like that. So you have, when you meet another culture, you have 5 good reasons to predict what will happen. I see that you're taking notes. You're free to take all the notes you want, but you will have a copy of the slides in any case. So you can relax. You have 5 good reasons to predict. The first is to reduce the uncertainty. You have, should you go on the right, the left, whatever, well, it gives you signs of the best way possible for you. You want to make a strong first impression. I will come back to this in a minute. You want to be prepared. You don't show the same PowerPoint to a German as to an Italian. Okay? A German, you will come with facts and figures, tables, graphs, and an Italian will come with nice pictures, just a little text, and he will start telling stories and things like that. Okay, it's a different way to communicate. You want to synchronize yourself to the culture, and you want to avoid fatal mistakes. Okay. Now I will show you an example of a fatal mistake, and you should know a lot about this. Now, a few years ago, a brand called Superga started with shoes with the flag of the country, and they sold so many thousands of pieces. They were so happy. And then a competitor called K-Swiss started to do the same. Said, great, they sold even more. And then the next one, Puma, said, great idea. They started to do the same. And you know already what I'm going to talk about, I'm sure. So, in December 2017, and just by chance I was there in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, it was the 2016, sorry, it was the 45th anniversary of the Union, okay? And Puma said, wow, great opportunity. Let's do a shoe with the flag of the Emirates. Great, fantastic idea, yeah? It's a great marketing idea. No? Yes? Or no? No. Why no? Who said no?
You don't put the flag, you don't yes.
But it works so well in all the countries. Why not in Emirates?
Well, you have to know their culture.
It's a chance to make so much money. Because they're rich in Dubai. They're going to buy not 1 pair, they're going to buy 10 pairs. Okay? Well, big problem. Why? First of all, that was what was happening in the Emirates. Everywhere, congratulations, big 1 month party. But don't forget that when you go to the mosque, what you do is you leave your shoes outside and you're going to clean your feet, because the most dirty things in the world are the shoes. Okay? Don't forget that in Egypt, when they wanted to fire the president, yeah, they were showing the shoe. Don't forget that in Iraq, Bush received a shoe right in his face. Okay? And look, this is Sarkozy with the King of Morocco. And he's showing the back of his shoe, and he was told not to do that. Huh? And look to the King of Morocco. He is afraid to look. Okay? Cultural differences. Okay? In many countries, never do this.
Yeah.
You dead. Okay? It's normal in the States. It's totally crazy in many other countries. Okay? No. Okay, it's easy to say, I want to predict the way the people will behave. How are you going to do that? Well, you can use stereotypes. All the French the blondes are stupid. Huh? You know that story. You know what is a blonde dyed in dark? No, it's artificial intelligence. Okay. Now, stereotypes is saying all the people from one culture, they are all the same, and I'm always better than they are, because Japanese, they never know what they want. Americans, they just think in terms of dollars, and Indians, they never deliver on time. Well, they're all the same, full stop. Okay, that's a big mistake, because we saw between the basic and the individual, you may have big differences. Like we saw. So that's the reason why I've been inventing a new word, which is smartotypes, which is a kind of clever stereotype. Now the difference is that in terms of predictability, because this is based on negative elements, denigrate, it's not based on scientific research and whatever, it's not a good way to predict the behavior of the other. Okay? And as well, you tend to say, as I said, well, it's the same for all of them. They're all like this, all the same. It's not the reality. The smartotypes are based first on scientific research, published elements and things like that. But as well, it's always positive. It's the desire there is not to say I'm better than you are. The desire to say, oh, can I synchronize myself to you? Okay? And as well, I will accept the fact that a person coming from country X might be totally different to what she's supposed to be. So you can say as well, the brain is like dozens of lockers, and you want to have access to those lockers. And a smartotype is the key to open those lockers. But of course, well, again, I'm coming with that idea of danger zone. When you don't know the culture and you don't know the person, you are in an extremely dangerous situation. The more you know the culture, the more you know the person, you are reducing the risk, okay, with the time and the fact that you are interested. Now, this is a rule coming from sales techniques, is the 4x20 rule for the first contacts. Believe me, if you dress like this, you are decreasing your chances to succeed, okay? The first 20 is the first 20 seconds. It doesn't mean it's 20 seconds exactly, it means things are happening very quickly. During the first contacts, you shake hand and it's happening, okay? You look to the eyes and very quickly you say, oh, he's very sympathetic or not, or I believe he's honest or dishonest and things like that. You cannot explain, but you have those feelings. Then you have the first 20 gestures, the way you're going to walk to the other, okay, and what you're going to do in front of the other. The way of saying hello in this part is very important. Like in many countries, with globalization, generally you shake hand. In India, they say namaste. Okay, what does it mean, namaste? It means hello in the simplified, but the full version is much more important. Is the sacred part in me respect the sacred part in you. It's much more than hello, and that's the reason why when you are with an Indian, you will never go and say namaste. Okay, because this is against the respect. Okay, recently I was with an Indian, and we are speaking about the way people say hello, and I said namaste, and he said, yeah, but it's much better because you don't touch the other end of the, so if he's ill or whatever, you don't get the microbes. I said, yeah, that's right. But I said, the Japanese are even more clever than the Indians. He said, why? Because they go like this, they even don't touch their own hands. Okay, in Japan, you see? And again, this is linked to a long tradition. Okay, samurai. And depending how important the person is, the more you're going to bow. And the maximum is 45 degrees, okay? No, I'm a big fan of the guy you're going to see, but there he made a big mistake. Okay? 2 mistakes. More than he did 90 degrees. Okay? Okay, he's very tall. Yeah, okay, okay. But he should have known that. And if, or you shake and or you bow, but you don't do the same at the time. Okay? And he was quite a lot criticized in the state.
They extended the hand.
Yeah.
So
But look to the Japanese emperor and his wife. They smile, but generally in Asia, when they smile, it might be because they are happy, but there they don't know how to react. He's the most powerful man in the world, and he's bowing like this. One normally should be like, and he's shaking. They don't know how to react.
Bow to the king of Saudi too, and it became another issue with the media. Why would he bow to the king of Saudi? So
Okay. No,
yeah.
I'm not a fan of the guy you're going to see. No, okay. But so far, the only thing he did better than Obama is this. Okay. First of all, that because Trump is not prepared to bow in front of anybody. Okay, and probably he was told not to do the same mistake. Okay. Okay, the next 20 is the 21st words. Okay. And there I'm coming to what I said in the beginning. It's so important to say a few words in the language of the other one. And Nelson Mandela said that I'm right. Yeah, look. He said, if you talk to a man in a language that he understands, that goes to his head. Okay? But if you talk in his native language, it goes to his heart.
Yes.
And that's a big difference. Yes. And that's the reason why the smile is suddenly coming. Okay? Well, he said this without mentioning me, of course.
But he knew you were going to say that.
And then you have all the facial expression. Okay? Believe me, we exchange millions of information without noticing. Look to the face of the lady there. She's expressing very different things, okay? So we send messages all the time to the others. Now you need many different keys to access to those elements. One is the distance versus the other, okay? Proxemics. I don't have time to do an exercise, but believe me, I did this recently in the European Parliament. There was a group with many people from many nations of Europe, and I was really up 6 meters away from the group. And I asked to a man from Norway, is this the right distance? He said, no, come closer. And then when I was 5 meters or 4 meters away, he said, stop, that's enough. Okay? And then I did the same exercise with an Italian. And with the Italian I came closer and closer and closer. And then I said, oh, come va in Italy? Va bene in Roma? Sì, sì. And I started to touch him. And when we debriefed, all the people from the north of Europe, they say, are you crazy? So close? And you touch him? And all the people from the south of Europe, they say, no, that's really the best way to behave. Okay? Now, we spoke about animals in the beginning. You remember? These are the penguins. When it's cold, they tend to regroup. Okay? Look what is happening on the top in Finland, on the bottom in Sweden. Okay? They're waiting for a bus in the winter time. And instead of doing like the penguins, going close, no, they stay 4 meters away because they like to keep the distance. Okay, it's quite different in India or in Africa. I was one day, a full day in Mumbai, and in the evening I met a German guy who was in Mumbai as well the whole day, and he was a guy 2 meters tall. A statue. And I said, I had a fantastic day in Mumbai, crazy city, but okay. And I said, did you like your day? And he said, 1 day in hell. I said, why? Chaos. Did you see the way they drive there? It's quite different from the German Autobahn. Huh? He said, I don't understand those guys. Never again I come back here. Okay? But it's linked again to the culture. Okay? In many countries, you can be very close from the other, and it's even necessary to touch the other. Okay? This is again in Mumbai. This is my wife. Okay? She likes to keep the distance as well, but after, I don't know, 10 seconds, all the Indians, they wanted to make a picture with her. And then again, that German guy said, but they cannot keep the distance. It's horrible. So again, that's a very big difference. You need to take this into account. So the smartotypes are there to predict the behavior. So for example, in Asia, it's extremely important to gain face and never lose face. How do you gain face? By buying prestige element. That's the reason why you see so many prestige shops everywhere in Asia. If you want to make a picture with Asians, most of the time they accept. And then immediately afterwards they say, we do a picture with my camera or with my smartphone. Why? Because they gain face. Then they can show to their friends, I'm a friend of Dr. Marco from Belgium. Okay? And this is in Korea, this is in India. Everywhere it's happening to me every day. Okay? So if you give congratulations or not in public, it's a very good way to gain face. Now, nobody likes to lose face, okay? But never, nowhere in the world is like in Asia. Now, we meet in the street, okay? I'm looking for the train station. I have no idea where it is, but you don't know neither, okay? And I come to you and said, sorry, I'm lost. Can you show me where the train station is? What is your answer?
Yes, okay. I can help you.
What?
I can help you to find.
Well, you don't know where it is.
I will find somebody to help you.
Okay, okay. So I will find somebody who's going to help you. What is the answer that you generally get in Asia?
Go to the right.
Huh?
Go to the right.
This one, okay? This is advertising for a GPS in China. So you ask your way to 6 people, you get 6 different answers, okay? Why? Because the fact of saying I don't know is losing face, okay? And as well, they have a strong desire to help you, but they have no, so they say, I believe it's there, but and in a case, if it's the wrong way, it's going to ask to someone else going the other way. And then finally, all the ways go to Rome, we say in French. Okay? So, no, again, with globalization is changing. It happened to me several times now during the 3-4 last years in Asia. They don't behave like this any longer. They use the smartphone and they look and they show me. I know a professor in the University of Jakarta. In 30 years' time, he was educated in the Netherlands. In the Netherlands, the education is ask questions to the teacher, criticize if you don't understand, and things like that. In Jakarta, in 30 years' time, he never had one question from one student. 2 reasons. First of all, the student is afraid to ask a stupid question, and all the classroom would laugh on him. Or he is afraid to ask a question to the teacher where the teacher would not be able to answer, and then the teacher is losing face. So they prefer to shut up. Okay? And it's the same reason why when the Germans want to solve a problem, well, they go across the problem, they try to find a solution, even if there are some fightings or things like that. The Chinese, they will always try to turn around. Because otherwise, you have too much risk that I lose face and I make the other lose face. So the way we react to the face sensitivity is extremely different. As well, and it's almost finished, the way we communicate is very different. Some cultures, like the Americans, tend to be very direct. Some other cultures are totally indirect. They don't say exactly clearly things. You have to guess within the words, or you have to look as well to the body language, etc., to understand what it means. So there are many other possible keys. Unfortunately, we don't have time enough, but I hope I gave you the will to discover more. I'm there as well for the after-sales services. And be prepared for surprises, good or bad, okay? Keep in mind that you have to accept the cultural identity while accepting individual differences. So in Belgium we are experts in beers. I hope you are ready to jump. In the slides you will find my telephone and email. Do not hesitate to contact me if you have any problems or questions. I thank you very much for your attention. Maybe I can take one question.
Can I add something?
Yes.
It's not a question actually, it's just something to add for everybody from my experience as well. with dealing with people and culture and getting to know people, how to go to any different countries or how to deal with things, I think the most important thing I learned was to adapt, being patient. Patience is one of the most important things you need in everything. If you can adapt that or learn that or like try to know how to do it, you can get through a lot of things. A lot of things.
I fully agree with you. Thank you for that comment.
You so
Thank you for your attention. It was very pleasant to be with you, and I wish you a lot of success in the future.
Thank you.
No, my pleasure. Dankeschön, meine Herren. I hope you discovered a few things.
Yes.
I'm sorry because I'm comparing the Germans to the Chinese because the differences are so big that it's
most difference. Yeah, that's fine. I have a personal question.
Yes.
With regard to this. For example, in this class,
yes.
We have several different cultures,
yes.
but we are here now in Central Europe, and a lot of people
yes.
are late in the morning for the lessons.
It's cultural.
Yeah.
It's totally cultural.
Should I accept it, or can I say, well, please be in time because we are in Central Europe?
The people who are losing is them. If they come late, they lose a part. Okay. You are on time, you learn everything.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay.
See it that way.
See it that way, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Sir, what do you do in Dynamites? Like you offer program on communication?
Yeah, I will give you my business card.
Okay.
In the front is who I am. What?
We can find Dynamites on the internet?
I'm reworking my website, but you can be in contact with you and with me by email, and I send you information.
Thank you very much.
It's your my pleasure. Card.
Thank you. Articulate. Very good.
Thank you.
Expert. Real
thank you.
Expert, yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's an honor for me.
It was hard to have only with you.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, if you are. Make me a favor. Yeah. If you have comments like this, you send me an email so I can put this in my reference. Yes? Okay, thank you.
Merci.
Vous êtes de où?
Vous ne rappelez pas de moi?
Ah bah oui, excusez-moi.
C'est pas grave.
Mais il y a tellement de monde. Oui, vous êtes du Maroc.
Oui, exactement. Voilà. En fait, pourquoi j'ai dit le mouvement? Parce que nous, par exemple, au Maroc, on dit, par exemple, dans une ville, ça ne bouge pas, ou dans les bazars, par exemple, il y a une rue où il y a des bazars, ça permet de dire, oh, c'est mort, la ville est morte. Il n'y a pas de mouvement, c'est mort.
Ah,
ça, on dit le mouvement, ça donne plus de...
Ah ouais, du mouvement, c'est la vie. Thank you. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Yes, likewise, and I want a picture. Once you're done talking to her.
Okay, we can talk.
En tout cas, merci beaucoup.
Mais je vous en prie, c'est un plaisir de vous revoir. Ah bah autant pour vous, c'était presque du réchauffé. Hein,
non, honnêtement, c'est vraiment...
c'est très gentil. Merci beaucoup à vous. Oh yeah.
Thank you.
I will do like an Asian.
One
Please do. One for me.
And then I will take the microphone off you.
Ah, yeah.
Just a minute.
Oh, you can come.
No, wait. This way, you stay in the middle.
Ah, okay. But I look even shorter.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Can I have a copy of the presentation so I can...
Yeah.
That was very, very, very informative.
Oh, thank you very much.
So that's me.
Thank you. Very nice of you. Okay, great. It was a pleasure meeting you. Oh, sorry. And in the back, it's what I do. And what we did today is this one. Because I do a lot of marketing advice as well.
So would you be interested in hosting a cross-cultural session like this one in our Foreign Service Institute
Of course.
University in Washington?
Of course.
I think they need it. I think we're lacking a few
Of course, I would really enjoy to do that. Okay.
I have your card.
Okay, thank you.
Do make with us a photo. Yes. Can I ask?
Oh yeah, yeah, of course.
Take one.
Thank you.
Oh, you want him? You want me in the picture? Mm-hmm. Oh, great.
Thank you.
Your hands are full.
I can manage it.
I'm sure.
Smile. Just a second.
Okay, perfectionist. And one.
Yeah, one with mine, I will act like an Indian. Yeah, you can come as well on the picture, maybe.
Here we are.
So I can show my friends I know a very important person in Germany. Shukran.
Thank you. We'll be in touch. I enjoyed the lecture.
Obrigado.
Me too.
It was a pleasure meeting you.
Oh, thank
sir.
you. Thank you very much.
And hope we will be in touch soon.
Okay.
Here my email so you can.
Thank you, my pleasure. Did I give you my card?
No, I haven't. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you have any question about the
Saudi
Arabian culture or Saudi culture,
I will
feel
be in
free
touch.
to contact
I will
me.
certainly be in touch.
I
Okay.
think there is a lot of things. One of the example you mentioned about the AU shoes.
Yeah, yeah.
It happened last year, during the
Yeah, yeah.
World Cup. A beer company in Germany.
Yeah.
I think it's Heineken.
Yeah.
They start promoting because they are one of the sponsors of the
Yeah.
World Cup.
Yeah.
So they sponsoring they promoting the team, national team
Yeah.
participating in the World Cup.
Okay.
So they put the flags on the beers.
Yeah.
In our culture, it's
Yeah.
not allowed to have a beer.
Yeah.
So it was there a lot of intensity in Saudi with that. Even the company they apologize and remove it. But it's different because someone if